Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 24th. Mr. Parrott here with your rundown of what we did in class today. I wanted to make a video version of it today because it is our first lab experience here today that unfortunately you got to miss, that you had to miss. So I'll show you how we will do it for when you're absent so you can still kind of do somewhat of our activities that we did in class. So first thing that you need to do is make sure that you do your bell ringer. Those are just your everyday type of things. So go to Schoology, go to this week, go to the bell ringer, answer up those things. They're very similar to last night's homework assignment where you're identifying some variables to it. So what we need to do then is I'll show you how we are going to do your labs, but from at home. We have a little resource here for us. So here's Schoology. We're going to load it up. And I'll walk you through step by step here. Go to Science Skills, because that's our current unit. Go all the way down here to the 23rd and 27th. Here's where your bell ringer will be at. Right there, Tuesday, answer it up. And then go to the Tuesday, August 24th folder. And you're going to see two things in the folder. The bottom thing, that is right here, this is your assignment, your stations activity for today. You're going to need to open that, but you are also going to need to open the thing right above it that says Absent Learner's Guide for the stations. We'll do this every time. One of these will be always on there. If there is a lab day, you'll always find it in the same exact spot in the folder that the lab is in. So it's going to be right above there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the assignment first. And how we do these things is typically we put one in a Google Doc, one in a Google Slides. That way that you can have both open and you can tab back and forth between the two real easily on the iPad. Because if you have it in, like, for example, if both of these were Google Docs, you would have to close one and then open up the other. This one you can have both of them open and just go back and forth between the Slides app and the Doc app for it. And let me get my things back and forth so I can tab back and forth. So you should be able to just load them up into separate areas here. So here's what they did in class today. They had the hypothesis and variable stations. There's 10 or that they had 10 minutes to do 3 experiments to it. And the directions are kind of straightforward. They're going to read through the experiment. The experiment are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. Maybe there's a 6 in there. Well, whatever the steps are, that's the experiment. You need to read through that first. That lets you know what is happening in the experiment. After that point, you're going to do the hypothesis before the experiment is ran. That is our if, then, because statement. That's going to go on for that. You are then going to conduct the experiment. Now, for today, you're not able to conduct the experiment. Here's where the absent learners page is going to come into play. Right here, you'll have station number 1. It'll have soapy pepper. Over here, this thing right here, if you go into the present mode of your, like if you present the slideshow, it's going to make that picture an actual video. You're going to watch the video of the experiment happening. And it's up to you whether or not you want sound a part of that or not, going through it, but then that's kind of how we have it set up. See, all right, we'll click. Here's the second one for our second part of our experiment. So kind of introduces everything going on there. I'm not going to play the whole thing just so that you can see kind of what happens during that. So that's for experiment number 2. And then experiment number 3, as it says here, we've got results of the paper airplane stuff right underneath of here. For this one, you're going to have to drag this off and then drag it back over the top to see the distances and whatnot. So just make sure you put it right back over the top because this is shared with everybody. So make sure that you don't have that spoilers going on for it there. Then, once the experiment is quote-unquote ran, you're going to finish off the rest of the chart for your experiment. So it says conduct the experiment. After that hypothesis, fill out the ones below. Figure out what the independent variable is that was in the experiment. Remember, that is a thing that the scientist will change. So what did you change from one version of the experiment to another? Every experiment will have two different ways in which you do it. The thing that you change between one and the other, that is going to be your independent variable. Your dependent variable is your data. It's the results. What did you collect or what did you look at to know whether or not one version of the experiment worked or the other version of the experiment worked? That would be our dependent variable there. And then afterwards there, after you do the variables, you're going to get our conclusion of the experiment. Was your hypothesis right or wrong? And explain. Remember, it's okay that our hypothesis is incorrect because it's a prediction. You don't necessarily know what's going to happen in each one of these situations. That's why we did them for it. And there's 3 of those, remember, so that was about the experiment 1. You'll have one for experiment number 2 and experiment number 3. So use the absent learner's guide to help you fill out those things, because this is where you'll see some of our experiments taking place, since you don't get to do them in class. If you have any questions about what is happening with those things, let me know. Otherwise, that's what you can work on today for science. If you didn't do yesterday's work, that means Monday's work. Make sure you go back to Mondays and check out that stuff, because that's when we first got introduced to these hypotheses and variables and everything of the sorts. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to email. And hopefully I will see you back here sooner rather than later. Bye.